Ernest, this has really got me thinking. What for a new researcher that wants to approach machine learning for trading in the methodology you're using, where we're selecting our strategies and instead of trying to predict price, what are some good models that a new researcher should look at? LSTMs, neural networks, or what models should we be looking at?
I generally speaking, my use of machine learning typically is more indirect. So I'm not going to suggest a particular network architecture. Oh, you should use a transformer-based neural network. Or, oh no, you should use gradient boosted decision tree. I have some opinion, but those opinions are with regard to what machine learning model, what machine learning algorithm should be used for certain data, not for the objective of predicting prices. What I feel that one should learn from predicting prices is actually much more classical. From all the profitable strategies that I've seen myself, they typically, again, have a causal component, or it derives from some fundamental observation of a market. So, for example, the fact that there is a lot of whether you are an option market maker or whether you are a market maker for volatility futures or variance swap and so forth, you need to balance book by the end of the day. You want to remain delta neutral, or you want to remain neutral with respect to all these other Greeks, and that induces sort of certain trades. So if the market has a strong positive delta, you might find that there's a positive momentum in the market towards the end of the day. So these are the sort of observation based on a understanding of market microstructure and what different players, particularly what different institutional players are doing. Now, it may be less easy to predict what retail traders are doing. Maybe they are because retail traders may be affected by Fed or Reddit or whatever latest fashion that there is. So it's maybe less predictable, but certain institutional players their behavior can be more predictable. So based on that kind of analysis, we build a quantitative trading strategy to capture that. So the basic idea is actually usually quite explainable, quite understandable. And it is oftentimes, the fundamental phenomenon oftentimes is documented in books on options, books on futures, books on Forex market, books on, the agricultural market or whatnot. This is what one would call people who are fundamental, who have fundamental knowledge or discretionary knowledge would do, except that we as quantitative traders would take those knowledge and quantify them, abstract them, simplify them, and quantify them. That is very different from saying that I should use a LSTM to make prediction on prices, or I should use instead some CNN to predict prices and whatnot. So I find it much more fruitful to understand the market from a fundamental point of view than from a purely what is called technique point of view. Technique, namely what kind of time series technique or what kind of machine learning technique to use to extract alpha. Because as I emphasized, we don't use machine learning to extract alpha.
You've mentioned before in the past that you do trade a little bit of crypto. Are you still trading crypto at all?
Not so much at this point.
Not so much. I was curious because you had mentioned that there's some strategies that still work in crypto today that haven't worked for the last 10 years in equities. And I was wondering if you had a couple of examples of those.
Yeah, I think that, I have heard a lot of the statistical arbitrage strategy that people have retired from the equities market continue to work in crypto. And, there are certainly people who reported a high Sharpe ratio. We, for a while, have been able to generate that as well. But just like an equity market or any other mature market, the crypto market is also subject to regime shift. And so oftentimes the strategy that worked well in one regime would cease to work in another. So even though it might seem easy to have this traditional technique that work, that doesn't guarantee that it will work forever. And that's what we find as well. So that's why we stopped trading one of the strategies that we observe have kind of underperformed in a different regime.
Do you use any grammatical evolution in your trading? And if so, can you explain that a little bit?
I'm sorry, what evolution?
Like grammatical evolution?
No, we actually don't use that, no.
Oh, that's okay. Cool. What are your thoughts on LLMs? I know you touched on it earlier. How do you see that being used in the future now that they're kind of being rolled out?
Well, I mean, they are the most obvious use of LLM is to generate features for other machine learning programs. For example, as I said, to convert all the text-based, in general, any unstructured data into numerical inputs to other machine learning program that for portfolio optimization, risk management, or even alpha generation. So you can convert text, you can convert speeches, video, images, what have you, into, or even charts, for example, into numerical data. And that's one obvious use for, the LM and other similar generative AI technique. Now, I should say deep learning technique. The more advanced use is what I also mentioned earlier, which is that you can use LM to learn from all the existing literature about how one can trade in a certain market. For example, there are all these books about options trading, long for, short for, calendar spread, this and that. And you say, well, I have this, I want a strategy that, had this risk return profile and so forth. What strategy would you recommend, given that you have learned from all these books? Well, that's something that, at some point LM should be able to provide, even though it may not be able to right now, but it's something that they can suggest. And they may hallucinate and don't have to trust it, but you can easily backtest, right? You can ask LM to, hey, suggest 10 trading strategies that are long volatility in the Forex options market, and it go out and read all these books on FX options and volatility trading and whatnot, and it will spit out, hopefully it will understand those papers and spit out 10 strategies. Maybe 9 of them nonsense. LM doesn't really understand what it's reading, but maybe one of those strategies actually makes sense, and you can go ahead and backtest it and it generate good returns. That would be a good way to use LM to generate trading strategy. Now, that's a theory. I haven't seen anybody publish any work that shows that it's working. Actually, in between the two, there is a possibility that you can use LM to directly convert sentiment to trade. And that's actually the project that we are working on. So we are working on an LM project that uses the Federal Reserve Chair's speeches as an input on a high frequency basis, every sentence, for example, and convert that every sentence that he said in a press conference into a sentiment score and trade based on that sentiment score. So it doesn't go through another machine learning program. It just uses its sentiment to trade on that. And we have achieved some preliminary result that we are actually going to report on in our generative AI workshop in October. So that's a project that we actually actively working on. It's showing some promise. So that is in between the two usage, right? One usage I said is to just simply generate features from unstructured data and use it as an input to other trading program. The second one is to completely generate new strategies from reading books and papers. This particular application of generating trade based on sentiment is sort of in between the two. And that's actually what we're working on. And you might call it, it's actually the first project of generating features is already done. It's well known. People actually have been doing it for years. The second project, which is using LM to generate brand new strategy from reading it, it has not been realized yet. Whereas what we are working on is in between. It is showing promise. It's not definitive yet, but that's hopefully we'll find the result and report it in our workshop in a few weeks, in a few months.
I look forward to that workshop. Ernest, this has been a fascinating conversation. My mind is going crazy. In closure here, can you tell me a little bit about your 3 books, predictnow.ai, and also where can listeners learn more and work with you?
Yeah, the 3 books, quantitative trading, algorithmic trading, and machine trading. Now, it's very interesting. If you ask ChatGPT, who are the best algorithmic trading books author, or what are the top 10 best algorithmic trading books, oftentimes my 3 books will show up in the top 10. And I don't know if it's hallucinate, so take it with a grain of salt. They do. So predictnow.ai is the company I started last 3 years to offer this kind of machine learning assistance to traders. We don't want to use machine learning to tell them what to trade. That's the job of the trader. We use machine learning to increase their Sharpe ratio, to decrease their risk, using corrective AI, using conditional portfolio optimization. That's the service we offer through predictnow.ai. And we also offer, like I said, a workshop on how to use large language model to convert unstructured data to tradable signals. That's what I was just talking about. So we offer the workshop through predictnow.ai as well in October.
Awesome, man. I will definitely be there. Ernest, thank you so much for your time today. This has been an amazing conversation. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you for inviting me. Take care.
All right, that's a wrap. If you enjoyed that episode as much as I did, definitely jump into my free Discord for traders. We have the biggest trading and algo trading community out there, and it's free to join. All you have to do is search on YouTube MoonDev, find one of my videos, and you'll see in the description your free invite to our Discord. So I look forward to seeing you inside the community and on the next episode. Have a wonderful day.